the IAS officers in Delhi have been on a strike. This is a strike that they admit themselves. Their own press release says that they are not attending meetings of ministers. They admit the fact that they are not following any instructions or orders given by the ministers. So it's very clear that this strike, in fact even as per the IAS conduct rules, is not just about mass observance of leave. It is also about token protests, sit-down protests, pen-down protests, and even slow-down protests. So the fact that now for 115 days, IAS officers are not following instructions from the ministers, the fact that they are refusing to attend meetings convened by ministers, does in effect mean that the IAS officers are on strike. Now we have tried all the constitutional mechanisms possible to resolve this. In Delhi, the Honorable Lieutenant Governor is the disciplinary authority of the IAS officers. So the cabinet has now appealed to the Honorable Lieutenant Governor 8 times, either in letter or in meeting. And after appealing to him about 8 times to intervene in this situation, the fact that the IAS officer strike has gone on for 115 days, which is something that is unprecedented in the history of this country, and the fact that the constitutional authority, the Honorable LG, has not taken action despite the strike being in the full view of the public of this city, goes to show that this strike not only has the support of the LG himself, but also has the support clearly of the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's office. Because otherwise, in this country where IAS officers are not willing to speak out when one of their colleagues alleges sexual harassment, when multiple IAS officers face instances of harassment, at that point of time, the fact that IAS officers have gone on strike for 115 days does indicate the fact that not only do they have the support of the LG, this is a strike that has been directed straight from the Prime Minister's office himself, and that is why these IAS officers know that if they oppose the Delhi government at this point of time, they are going to get rewarded and they are actually going to get plum postings in the central government. The last meeting happened the very evening before this sit-in protest actually started, and this was the 9th attempt that the cabinet was making to make sure that the IAS get back to work. So I think this current protest is happening because the elected government seems to be left with no other choice. That you have a government that has an unprecedented democratic mandate. And from 2015 onwards, there have been multiple attempts to try and stall the work of this government. And despite all those attempts, the government has been successful on many counts. The government's work in education, the government's work in health, electricity, water is now being appreciated not just across Delhi, but it's being talked about in many parts of the country. So now the bureaucracy is being used as a front, not just by the LG but by the central government, to prevent Delhi government from being able to work for the people of Delhi. We have 2 demands. One, our demand is that the Honorable LG should order that the IAS officer strike should come to an end, and that officers should start attending meetings that are convened by ministers, number 1. Number 2, we demand that action should be taken against officers who have illegally been on strike. And number 3, we want that the LG should approve the doorstep delivery of ration, a policy that we have now been trying to bring in for several months. Once all of these policies are approved, we will, the 4 Chief Minister and the 3 ministers will end their protest. There's something called the rule of law in this country. As per the rule of law, when the Chief Secretary alleged that an assault happened to him, the matter is being investigated by the police. The matter is being discussed in a court of law. So now the IAS officers have to let the law take its course. IAS officers have become the accusers, they have become the jury, and they have become the judge of this entire matter. If in 4 months the Delhi police has not been able to even file a single charge sheet in the Chief Secretary matter, it does raise questions about even the authenticity of that. But be that as it may, even if I assume for an instance that maybe something happened, that matter is being investigated by the court of law. Do these IAS officers have no trust in the process of law in this country? Number 1. And number 2, there is also a law that governs the actions of IAS officers. These are the IAS conduct rules. These are the transaction of business rules of the government of NCT of Delhi. And those very clearly state that no IAS officer under any circumstance can go on strike even for a single day. And therefore, under that rule of law of this democratic country, they have no right to go on strike. Number two, the transaction of business rules of the government of NCT of Delhi also very clearly state that officers have to follow directions given by the ministers in charge. So there is a violation of rules and laws of this country that have now been happening for 115 days. The fact that the LG is choosing not to take action despite this flagrant violation of rules is an indicator of the fact that this entire strike is happening with his blessings. Otherwise, why in 115 days has he not intervened to resolve this situation, to order the IAS officers to end their strike? Because obviously the people of Delhi are going to suffer. I think if BJP says it's not a feasible answer, really we should be asking them why they promised it in their 2014 manifesto. This is a promise that has been made by the BJP in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, that they are going to make a full statehood to Delhi. Number one. Number two, I think there's a very straightforward solution to the statehood problem. Just as in the United States, Washington DC, which is the capital of the US, is a very small and limited area which is confined only to where the national institutions and the residences of the senators and congressmen and the embassies are placed. As soon as that area ends, you have different states that start. So even in Delhi, the NDMC area, where you have the Supreme Court, where you have the parliament, where member of parliament stay, where you have the embassies, all of that area can be designated. New Delhi can be designated as the national capital. But the 20 million other people of Delhi who stay outside the NDMC area have a right to an elected government. They have a right to have a single nodal authority that takes care of all their decisions. Right now you have one street light in Delhi and you can have 7 different agencies governed by different governments who might be in charge of repairing a single street light. You have a government that you elect, but that has no control over law and order and security in this capital. You elect a government, but that government has no control over the IAS officers who are supposed to be running that government. Is this not unfair to the 20 million people who are living in Delhi? And 20 million is not a small number. 20 million is more than the population of so many countries in this world. So, if you were to see the performance of the Aam Aadmi Party in the past 3.5 years, the governance initiatives of Aam Aadmi Party are not just being talked about in Delhi, they are being talked about all over the world. You have Kofi Annan who is raising the Mohalla clinics in Delhi. You have researchers from Harvard University coming and doing research on the education initiatives in this city. You have, for the first time ever in the history of the city, government schools outperforming private schools in board results. You have electricity prices that have now not gone up for more than 3 years. You have more than 300 colonies that have got piped water supply for the first time. This despite the fact that there have been multiple obstacles put before the Delhi government by the central government. Despite all of that, we have performed. But we are also aware of the fact that if these obstacles had not been put into place, if Delhi was a full state, we could probably have performed 10 times as much as what we have done right now. And number two, as far as protests go, for 115 days, we have tried all constitutional measures to resolve this. We have tried to negotiate with the officers, we have been to the Honorable LG, we have called the officers to the assembly to discuss the matter, a resolution has been passed in the assembly. But when, despite all constitutional measures, the IAS officers have now illegally been on strike for 115 days, there was no choice left. Till the IAS officers get back to work. See, of course there are problems. Yesterday the BJP was protesting about the water crisis in Delhi. I was actually saying that they are protesting in our support. We are also saying that there are problems in Delhi. But if the Chief Minister of this city cannot call the CEO of the Delhi Jal Board for a meeting, how on earth are these problems going to be resolved? So obviously, under a democratic form of government, the people elect legislators and ministers to fulfill their policy promises. But the role of the ministers is to give directions. The role of the bureaucracy is to implement those directions. If those who have to do the implementation are on strike, no implementation of policies can actually happen. See, I think that as of now, full statehood in Delhi is a larger issue as compared to anti-corruption, because it's only when the Delhi government gets its anti-corruption bureau back, gets the power of suspension and vigilance inquiries on corrupt officers through the different departments of the government, can actually corruption be curbed? The Delhi government had the Anti-Corruption Bureau since 1991. The central government took that over in May 2015 by sending paramilitary forces. Has this ever happened in the history of independent India? No. So how is a government going to control corruption when all its arms, all its departments that are meant to curb corruption are taken away from the government and handed over to the Lieutenant Governor? In fact, there was a newspaper that had recently done a report, had filed an RTI on the fact that virtually 2% of matters now filed in the Anti-Corruption Bureau are actually leading to even charge sheets. So the Anti-Corruption Bureau has been made dead wood by the Lieutenant Governor's office. So obviously corruption in the city is going to go on. See, the thing is that there is a lot of Congress hypocrisy on this issue. Unlike the Congress, the Aam Aadmi Party stands for democratic rights of states, stands against the infringement of democratic rights by the central government. When the governor's office was misused in Uttarakhand, Aam Aadmi Party came and did a press conference even before anyone asked us. When the office of the governor was misused in Arunachal Pradesh, we came forward and did a press conference. But what happened in Goa, what happened in Manipur, what happened even in Karnataka? We spoke out because the issue is a matter of principle that the central government cannot use the office of the governor of the left or the lieutenant governor to infringe upon the rights of states, but they are doing so. The same is actually happening even in Puducherry. The Congress Chief Minister of Puducherry is every day condemning the office of the Lieutenant Governor in Puducherry. So the Delhi Congress obviously has a hypocritical stand in the first place because precisely the same problem is being faced by the Congress in different states across the country. And I think that the Congress also needs to understand that this is not a fight, this is not a question of Aam Aadmi Party or Congress. This is a question of the federal structure of the Indian Constitution. If the offices of governors and lieutenant governors are going to be used to infringe the authority of state governments, then what is going to happen to the power of states? See, I think that Congress on its own should take a principled stand against what is happening in Delhi. The fact that they haven't taken a principled stand which reflects their opportunism. See, I think that Aam Aadmi Party has an elected government in Delhi. Our responsibility is towards the people of Delhi and fulfilling the promises that we have made to them. We will do whatever needs to be done, be it governance, be it dharnas, be even support for the BJP, I said. If they give full statehood to Delhi and ensure that the people of Delhi get the governance they deserve. Why should the voter of Delhi be a second-hand voter? Why should it be a second-grade voter? That when the voters of other states vote, they get governments that can actually work for them. But the people of Delhi, when they vote, what they get is a mixed governance or something in the hands of MCD, something in the hands of Delhi government, something in the hands of the central government. Why is the voter of Delhi a second-rate voter? Why is the voter of Delhi giving taxes, the greatest amount of income tax every year to the central government, but does not get a single penny of money from the central government? So I think all of these are issues that need to be resolved. And full statehood is really the only option now for the people of Delhi.